Good afternoon. My name is Ellen Eggars. I'm a mother and a grandmother, and I'm also a lawyer, and I've been representing men on death row for about the last 20 years. I have to say that when I first took this job, I did not have strong feelings one way or the other about the death penalty. Unlike many of you in the room, it was not a big issue for me. It hadn't touched me personally. I had done civil law in the past, not even criminal law. So it was not an issue that I was familiar with. But the first time I went to death row and met my very first client, it struck me almost immediately that it was a bad idea. And over the years, I have developed more and more information about the death penalty from firsthand experience, from reading everything I can read about it. And it is so clear to me that it is bad public policy. I could never figure out why we were putting all this money and effort and time and expense into executing a handful of individuals who happen to have been singled out really at random. We take them in the middle of the night and inject them with poison, used to be with gas, or electrocute them. We find these ways to do it, and then we wake up the next morning and we still have crime in our society. And one of the things that really solidified my position was when I had the opportunity to meet with the mother and father of one of the victims in one of my cases. I spent a whole evening with them. And they said when their son was first murdered, all they could think about was walking up with a gun and doing it themselves, putting a bullet right between the eyes of my client. And that's all they could think about. But by the time he actually went to trial 5 years later, they had a completely different opinion, and they said, we are strongly opposed to the death penalty. There isn't a thing in the world that can bring our son back. We're opposed to it. The last thing that I would like to say in connection with the regulations, Manny Babbitt, you heard from Bill Babbitt. Manny Babbitt was one of our office's clients, and I happen to know at the time of his execution, he was strapped down like everyone is, but if he hadn't been strapped down, he would have definitely fallen on the floor from convulsions. He convulsed badly. There was evidence afterwards that he was not fully anesthetized, and he probably suffered terribly. And I think until the state of California can tell us what caused Manny to suffer and go into convulsions, it has no business continuing the same regulations, the same drugs, basically the same protocol that caused him to have a terrible death. Until CDCR can explain what happened to Manny, I think they have no business continuing this same practice. Thank you.